Welcome to Day 2 of the Federal Student Aid Training Conference. And now, please welcome to the stage Principal Deputy Undersecretary of the U.S. Department of Education, Diane Jones.
I lit up from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hands. Didn't get to sleep that night till the morning came around. Set out one, but
Morning, everyone.
Time, a friend of the devil is a friend of mine.
I didn't fall up the steps getting to the stage, so I think I'm halfway there. I'm really happy to be with you today. It has been 11 years since my last FSA conference, and I'm really thrilled to be back with you. I have only 10 minutes, and so I'm going to get right to my comments. But before I do that, I want to let the timekeepers in the front row know I'm only going to cover one slide. So when I'm 8 minutes in and still on slide 1, do not panic. My conversation today is the beginning of what I hope to be a much longer dialogue. In the same way that the Secretary has asked all of you to rethink the way you deliver education, to rethink the way you interact with students, she has also given us the charge to rethink the way we interact with all of you. And that's what this conversation is about. We hope that it's already obvious, and that if it's not, it becomes obvious, that what we're trying to do at the Department of Ed is change the culture. We want to restore the partnership. We know we are your regulator. We know we have to hold you accountable. But the way we see it is that we are much better off, all of us, if we engage as your partner in the front end rather than having to come in as your regulator in the back end. And so this is about working together from the start to make sure that we all get it right. What will this look like? How will you know that we have achieved our goal? Well, I think you heard some of it in the Secretary's speech yesterday. We are changing the way we think about the conversation with students. For a really long time, we have congratulated ourselves on getting money out the door. We've congratulated ourselves when students have completed the FAFSA, and we will continue to congratulate ourselves for that. But we also understand that we share in the responsibility for raising borrowers who are responsible for the decisions they make and accountable for what they choose to do. And we know that raising borrowers who are responsible begins not the day they go into repayment, not the day they sign the promissory note. It begins the day they go into My Student Aid app and start the FAFSA. That's when the conversation has to begin, and we are stepping up to do our part to try to better educate borrowers and to help them understand that the choices they make have consequences. So instead of us giving out the money and then blaming you when it doesn't come back, we are sharing in that responsibility. If it doesn't come back, it is our responsibility as much as it is yours. And I think we have put students in a very dangerous situation. Income-based repayment was created in 2007, and I was at the department at the time. And I remember the dialogue in Congress that led to this program. It was not about a rescue for every student who wants to lead a certain lifestyle. The reason income-based payment was created is because there was the belief that low-income students should have as much an opportunity to participate in a service job, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, as their wealthier peers. The concern was that low-income students were so burdened by debt that they had to pick the job that paid the best wage, and they lost an opportunity to give back. And so income-based repayment was really about creating an opportunity for any student to participate in community service. But we've come a long way since then, and here's the proposition we put in front of 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 34-year-olds. Let's pretend you were going to go buy a house. And what if your realtor said this? You can buy this little condo. It's got everything you need. Or you can buy this really big mansion. Has everything you need plus a swimming pool and a solarium and a sunroom. Now, you can buy either one. No matter which one you buy, your mortgage is only going to be 10 or 15% of your income. And however far you've gotten in 20, 25 years, you're done. Now, you put that option in front of an 18 or a 22 or a 25-year-old, and we kind of expect them to pick the condo. And that's just unrealistic. We have to let them know that if you buy the mansion, it may well be worth it. But you need to understand what you're getting into, and you need to go into it eyes wide open. And that is why we have embarked upon a journey to expand the college scorecard to start providing program-level outcomes on all Title IV programs, including median earnings of program completers. We think earnings are the one data point that students understand. We're not sure they understand what's in 17 pages of Navigator, but we do think they understand earnings. And we think that if we can provide them that information, we don't suggest that they pick a career based on the earnings. We just want them to know what to expect and to understand that your borrowing has to be in the context of your future earnings. So putting out program-level data, and by the way, we will do this with administrative data. There will not be a requirement for you to bring anything else to the department. We will produce the scorecard based on data that we have. So we will be engaging students in the conversation about responsible borrowing. We definitely need to improve the customer service experience. Wayne will talk about Next Gen, and that really speaks to our conversation and our experience with borrowers. But we know we have to improve our customer experience with you as our customer. Robin and her team are working day and night to clear out the backlog of recertification applications, to bring resolution to outstanding program reviews. What we understand is that it is better to quickly find the problem, notify you of it, and implement corrective action than to wait years and years and years and let the problem build and build and build. We are trying to right-size our regulations. We are not deregulating higher ed. We know that regulations are important, but if you need 1,200 Dear Colleague letters to provide the sub-regulatory guidance that says, well, what we meant was, then we've got a problem. Our regulations need to be more simple. Students are complicated. The programs are complicated. We have to figure out how to make our regulations more simple. And we believe that if we have a narrowly constructed set of regulations, we can do a better job of holding you accountable to them, and you can do a better job of being accountable. It will be more clear what's expected. We need to restore or reaffirm the regulatory triad. That's the subject of our upcoming rulemaking. And finally, we need to support change and innovation. Now, this does not mean willy-nilly let 1,000 flowers bloom. This means that we know there are institutions that are in excellent standing with us and excellent standing with their accreditors, and they want to innovate, and they want to do it responsibly, and they're scared to death that they're putting their entire Title IV eligibility at risk by doing so. We need to allow those institutions to innovate in a responsible way. We need to give them the safe space to do it. We need to make the rules and requirements clear. We need to understand that there is risk that comes with innovation, and we cannot ever 4 years later, look back and say, that's not really what we meant. We need to be clear in our conversation and clear about our expectations, and we need to allow innovators to innovate. So we wish to support innovation and support change, but do so in the most responsible manner possible. So this is just the beginning of our conversation. Now, there's one other part of the conversation that if I didn't have with you, my friends in OPE would be very disappointed, and this is what I need to say. Please take our money. We have tens of millions of dollars left in our program for institutions that took students in after the hurricanes and California wildfires in 2017. We have tens of millions of dollars left. We appreciate the work you did in taking those students in. You proved the best of higher ed, and Congress has made it possible to reimburse you for those costs. We cannot use that money for any other purpose. We are extending the program to the end of December, and if you took in students, we are happy to reimburse you for those costs. James Davis and OPE can help you with that. So please, if you did the good work of taking in those students, reach out to us so that we can reimburse you for some of those costs. Again, this is just the beginning of the conversation. We hope to have many, many more of these conversations. We are available to you. We know it's our job to be responsive to you. But more than anything, I want to thank you. I've been on your side of the equation. I've worked at schools. It's hard work, but it is the most important work that gets done. So thank you all for all that you do. Thanks for continuing to do it well, and thanks for supporting all of the students who depend on us for a better and brighter future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer for Federal Student Aid, Dr. A. Wayne Johnson.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And I want to first of all welcome you to my home state of Georgia, the home of some great institutions, one of which is Coca-Cola, and the other one is Mercer University. Thank you so much for being here today. I've been looking forward to being here and standing in front of you and providing this presentation. Last year was invigorating. This year is going to be, I think, interesting and invigorating. Yesterday, Jim Manning had the opportunity of sharing with you that we're 20 years old as a performance-based organization here at FSA. And he also talked about what it meant to be a performance-based organization. What it means is that we have authorities and we have certain responsibilities, but we have the ability to do things different than the way it's mostly done in the government. And a lot of that revolves around the innovations that we want to set forward. Somewhere there's a clicker here. At last year's conference, I announced a solution to address challenges by radically transforming the financial aid delivery process and the systems at FSA. This initiative has taken hold. It's become a fundamental core to our strategy, and it's called Next Gen FSA. It includes the vision to modernize FSA's technical and operating infrastructure and innovate the way in which we connect and provide for our common borrowing customers, and equally as important to you, our school partners. We're transforming the aid process, but most importantly, and the thing I'm probably most proud of as the Chief Transformation and Strategy Officer, with the support of my colleagues, we are transforming the culture. We're making it such that we are focused on our students and we're focused on our schools and we're embracing the technologies and we're embracing the attitudes to be able to deliver world-class service in both regards. You, the people in this room, individually and as representatives of our school partners, are critical to the success that we are all endeavoring to undertake. You are critical. You're important. We never forget that. So I'd like to recap a little bit about where we are today, but before I do that, I actually want to roll a video. We had such a hit with the last year's video, we decided to do something like it again. So would y'all please roll the video? That was fun. You can actually go back and look at last year's video as well. Okay, so let's get into it. One of the things that we've been endeavoring to do is to change the customer experience. And as you well know, and to remind you, right now we have 9 different service providers, each one with disparate their own systems, different looks and feels, different experiences. And this kind of gives you an example of what it even looks like on a mobile presentment from our different servicers. Very, very different. So we're about changing that. We talked about it last year, and we're very, very close to getting that done. The issue is we got to basically change the disjointed experience that different students have. Somebody that happens to be in one servicer versus another servicer needs to basically be changed such that everybody's enjoying the same experience. As you know, we operate with many different, disparate, and confusing systems, and our systems do not even talk to each other. And our entire infrastructure was actually built around the FEL program, and over the years it's just evolved, an add-on here and an add-on there. And so we've got to fundamentally, and we are fundamentally changing away from the FEL system into the next generation system. We've been about this for a little over a year, and we're very, very, very close to making these changes a reality. Before you start to make a change, however, you need to understand, why do you want to make a change? Well, we decided that we needed to understand what the pain points were that our student borrower customers were experiencing. So we went into our systems, we went into our databases, we listened to calls, and what we found is that there are over 250 identifiable pain points that people set forth when they're trying to deal with FSA. And 75% of these 250 pain points really boil down to 9 super pain points. And so we decided that we're going to attack, with our systems and our technologies and our cultural changes and our attitudes and approaches, how to start addressing these 9 super pain points, get those licked, and then start dealing with additional pain points. But what are these pain points? Our customers tell us that they do not have enough information to select the right payment plan. They have difficulty navigating the repayment applications and recertification processes. One of the most significant is our customers tell us they do not even know how much they owe, and they have no idea how they came to owe so much money, or at least owe that much money. They have no idea. They also say that when they've discovered that they're in a delinquent or a default situation, many times they discover it for the first time when they have access to their credit bureau, or they're going to apply for a car or apply for a loan mortgage, and all of a sudden their credit bureau is flagging up that you're delinquent on a federal student loan debt. Or worse yet, if you've got if you've got a licensing for professional, they're not going to grant you the license because you're still showing a default or delinquent on your federal student loan debt. That's a really tough time to figure out what the situation is. And they're saying that once it is discovered, that it's very difficult to fix. They have trouble accessing their own account. The communications, they say, is obviously written by somebody who really didn't want me to understand what you're trying to say. And they get inaccurate and inconsistent, and because of the different servicer modalities, they get a different speak to with regard to what's at play. So we're changing these, we're addressing these pain points. But here today in front of you, I want to declare that it's not just about the students. It's about our relationship with you, individual representatives of your institutions who work day in and day out to make the experience better for students and to help solve their problems. So, just as we have attacked and are attacking the student loan borrower experience, we're attacking and addressing through Robin's leadership and her team what we're doing about bringing technology and bringing culture and bringing the right kind of amplification of positive attitude to working with you, the leaders from the financial aid industry. So I'm about to give you a little update about the 2 aspects of what we're doing. So we've got Next Gen FSA. It is a major cultural embracement that we're about at Department of Ed and also particularly at FSA. And it has 2 important pillars. It has the Next Gen Financial Services, which I've talked a little bit about and which, of course, I really dwelled on last year and which you're hearing a lot about. But I'm introducing you today to the fact that we have committed to Next Gen PPO, where we're delivering the same type of commitment to making positive change to you, the institutions, and other aid delivery organizations that we work in support of us. So, Next Gen Financial Services is about students and borrowers. Next Gen PPO is about you and your organizations. But we have some benefits to work through, or work from. It just so happens that the technology stack, and this is for those of us who get a little wonky, the technology stack to support Next Gen Financial Services and Next Gen PPO is pretty much the same. There's an engagement layer. And with regard to financial services, mobile first, mobile continuous, mobile complete. But it's omni-channel. The same thing with the engagement letter with the schools. Bring the technology that allows us to deal with you on an omni-channel basis. We also bring middleware to the equation. Now, what is middleware? Middleware is that magic stuff that allows new and innovative technologies to talk to legacy databases and legacy systems and makes the magic happen. So we're very, very firmly embracing the engagement layer and the middleware layer in both our PPO and also our Next Gen Financial Services. It also requires an integration of databases, and in the case of financial services, it requires a common core system that multiple providers are working from. And database, we all need to be looking at the same data all the time so that we have a common view of what's being said, whether it's on the PPO side or, of course, on the financial services side. And I cannot begin to overemphasize the importance of cybersecurity as a protection layer, a protection mindset, and probably the most significant cybersecurity tool that exists is the human element looking at something that's an aberration and calling it into question. Cybersecurity underpins everything that we're about. And I hope my twin, Dan Commons, will appreciate that comment. There's a gentleman here that looks exactly like me. I'm going to give him a name tag. He's going to run around, you'll have a chance to ask him questions. Dan, I might even ask you to come up here and let's let him judge whether we look alike or not. Okay, so Next Gen Financial Services, I'm about to get into a little bit more depth on that, and then I'm going to get into a little bit more depth with regard to Next Gen PPO. Okay, so one of the things that we've done, we hadn't just been sitting around talking about this. We have not just been sitting around admiring the problem that we've been able to define. We've been setting the course of action. And one of the most important courses of action is that we've already completed the look and feel and the consistent branding for what we're about. You can go look at this, and basically whatever the property is, that's the terminology they use for the type of device, whatever the property is, it's got the same look and feel. This same look and feel will be overlaid on the totality of the servicing experience and actually overlaid with regard to some elements of our PPO. We've also redesigned FAFSA.gov. And if you looked up there earlier when you saw that video flash, by the way, it'll play again at the end in case you missed it, that video flash, you'll see that it talked about things like one website, one telephone number. And not only will we have that for the consumer, we're going to have a dedicated hotline for schools to be able to pierce through and ask specific questions of us on behalf of students or even on behalf of themselves. So it'll be dedicated inputs and connection points for us. So it's all about common look, common feel, and feeling comfortable. I come from the branding world, and people take confidence in brand. What is a brand? When you see whether it's Coca-Cola or Visa or any of these brands, it's a promise. It says, when you see this brand, you know that you can expect these things to happen. We at FSA are committed to establishing and delivering upon an unbelievably important and significant brand promise. Now, I'm most excited to say that what we were told that we couldn't do, and certainly couldn't do it in the time frame, has been done. FAFSA is now mobile. And for those of you who have not downloaded it, I encourage you to go to My Student Aid at the App Store. You can also tap in FAFSA and bring up the mobile app. And you can cause either for yourself Or quite frankly, you can use your phone or your device to assist someone at a luncheon table to help them fill out the FAFSA. And what I'm really excited about is we did things like create role plays, role aspects for it. You can sign in as a student, you can sign in as a parent, you can sign in as a preparer. And this is it seems to be such a simple idea, but we actually have reported cases where parents would be filling out the FAFSA. The first question that they would be asked is, what is your name? And they would dutifully type in their name. And they would get down about, I don't know, a third of the way through, and they'd discover, oh, I really need to put the name of my student in, not my name. And so they'd come back and they'd have to start over. Well, here, if you start with I'm the parent, it's going to ask you questions about being a parent. If it's student, ask you questions about students, and you can do the handoffs. It's really super cool. And I've had the pleasure of being on the road with Secretary DeVos and Senator Lamar Alexander and standing in front of students as they have actually executed this, first-time exposure, and they are really, really pleased with what they're able to see. But you know what's interesting? My Student Aid mobile app is not just about the FAFSA. When you come up with a mobile app, you got to come up with some hook. And the hook that we came up with, let's put FAFSA on the mobile app. But now let's start talking about the really cool stuff and the really interesting stuff that we can do through the mobile app. And it basically is unlimited. Right now, through our mobile app, you can access College Scorecard. You can actually access the ability to compare what kind of loan situation you have and are having. You can contact us. Very near, in the near future, and I'll talk about it in just a second, you'll be able to access a My Money payment vehicle so that you can actually actually receive student loan overage money. We very much intend for you to do some other exciting stuff, one of which is financial counseling. We expect to be able to deliver the ability to execute the promissory note by way of the mobile app, relieving you of the burden of people lining up in your offices and having to sign notes in person. There's an unlimited amount of things that we can do with regard to how we deploy against the mobile app. Some stats, just so you know, this is interesting. We will probably receive somewhere between 18 and 20 million FAFSAs this year. To date, we've already received 3.6 million applications. Interestingly enough, there have been 375,000 applications that have been submitted by mobile, both a combination of the mobile app and also what's called responsive mobile web. And we've had 240,000 downloads of this app. And we're just getting started. And our challenge is to make this app so interesting that people want to come to it, not just because they have to come to it. So I encourage you, go mobile, encourage everybody to go mobile, download My Student Aid. Please do so. Now, what can you do with the mobile app? And I've mentioned some of the things. First of all, you can manage the username and password. You can view your federal student aid history through My Federal Loans. You can view and compare information about schools through My College Scorecard. You can access through the studentaid.gov, and you can actually contact us. And hopefully not in the too distant future, you'll actually be able to engage in a chat experience or a chatbot experience with us. So lots of really interesting and good things that you're going to be able to do and currently can do through the mobile app. It's not in the future, it's here today. You know, please download it. Now, I talked briefly about the payment vehicle, and I stand before you today as somebody that has gotten a firsthand experience of what happens when you want to bring some level of innovation to something that is tried and true and people believe doesn't need any improvement. I've had my fair share of senators, congressmen, people from the industry, and you name it, even schools telling me, why do you want to go do this payment vehicle? And the answer is because we know what is the art of the possible, and we're calling upon the industry to bring the art of the possible forward by way of a pilot. I want to underline that 4 times, pilot, 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 to basically demonstrate what can be. I announced it last year, drew a fair measure of attention. Next week we'll actually receive the proposals from the pilot implementers who want to bring this to market, or at least bring it to market in a pilot form. And it's going to be a type of program that's no fee to students, no fee for schools. It is voluntary, I repeat, voluntary for the students at the voluntary schools. And we have heard loudly and clearly that we need to protect personal and private information and not look at the transaction elements that are going on. So it'll only involve what we call metadata in terms of general type payment activity, and no microdata, i.e. to an individual student. But we're excited about this, and we think it'll serve as a industry benchmark that people can turn to. So the next thing is kind of interesting, and it ties back a little bit to what we're doing on the mobile, and it's called, But First, FAFSA. There are many things that you can do in life, and there are many important things that you need to do in life, but if you want to get access to a single penny of federal student money, whether it's a grant or whether it's a loan, you must fill out the FAFSA. So please encourage everybody you encounter that has an interest in accessing federal grant and loan money to fill out the FAFSA, and hopefully encourage them to do it by way of the mobile app. Now, we've had the opportunity, and it's been fun, quite frankly, to actually set forth a social media campaign where you can be online looking at something and all of a sudden it interrupts it and says, "But first, FAFSA." We've done digital radio, we're doing display ads, and I think when you checked in, you actually got this little window sticker and you probably said, "What is this about?" We hope you'll take that and put it on something important so that people can look at it and understand that they need to FAFSA. So my student aid is more than just FAFSA, but first FAFSA, and do it by way of mobile. So now I want to transition and talk about very, very important stuff, particularly as it relates to this audience, and that's our Next Gen partner participation and oversight commitment. We are working very diligently, very hard, very intensely, in all the areas you can talk about, to basically streamline and bring innovation to this process. We want to close out the reviews more quickly. We want to track the certifications and everything that's in flight much more, well, basically, we just want to make everything happen faster. As you know, and Diane pointed out, we have the important role of basically ensuring compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements. It's a duty and responsibility that we take very seriously. But we also view ourselves as having the most important role of helping you to deliver financial grants and financial scholarships and financial loans to the students that are part of your institutions. So we've come up with a vision for the Next Gen PPO. And this is a testimony to Robin and Sally and the other people that have been working on this. The Next Gen PPO vision includes a single point of entry for data submission, performing day-to-day activities, and providing compliance information to our school partners. So it basically causes us to bring interacting with various systems, process, timelines, and requirements in sync with a holistic, interconnected, innovative solution that will simplify the partner engagement process. I was told to quote that exactly, so I did. And it's all about delivering accurate, consistent, responsive compliance and enforcement operations, enhancing our ability to proactively manage risk, collaborate and engage with you, our external partners, as well as to help us on an internal basis. So the Next Gen PPO vision gets operationalized with a very simple approach. A single portal, a one-stop shop that allows data entry and validation, digital document management, I underline the word digital document management, you can send pictures, customer relationship management system, a database that is common and consistent to all, and probably one of the most exciting things is the empower you up with some self-service technology, so a lot of the things that you would normally have to talk to us about, you can actually do independent. And that is part of our strategy on the on the student side as well. Now, to bring it to life, this is what we are planning the Next Gen PPO portal to look like. And again, it'll provide for everything from training to policy to operational guidance to announcements, updates, and just a simple request to talk. We also are bringing online an eligibility application tracker that we can use internally and perhaps get to the point where it can be viewed externally. But this will allow for you and us to access the various existing systems such as COD, NSLDS, EAP, SAIG, Easy Audit, all with the goal of simplifying and streamlining the systems that we all are dependent upon. So what are we about? We're about trying to make it user-friendly, having a complete, integrated, end-to-end workflow system, setting forth tracking and transparency with the ability for staff and our external public, such as yourself, to securely upload, download documents, data, and interface with us. We're confident that these long-term efficiencies will assist you as will they assist us. Now, in conclusion on these points, both the next generation financial services environment and the next generation PPO component are commitments from Department of Education and FSA about providing world-class service to consumers and world-class service to you, the people in this audience. It's an exciting time to be working together in higher education finance. Together, we can fundamentally transform and change for the better the process of executing and delivering federal student loans and federal grants. Now, again, part of my job is sales. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that we are truly committed to making this work for everybody. But one of the most important call to actions I would like to do as a Chief Strategy, Transformation, and for the moment, Sales Officer at FSA, please download the My Student Aid app. Please pass the word. Be disciples of this. This is a critical success factor for us to be able to have people be able to enjoy the experience better. We know it works and we know people appreciate it. So on behalf of the Department of Education, FSA, I want to set forth that may, the students of America continue to be blessed. May the institutions of higher education continue to be blessed. And may you, the people who work very hard and very diligently every day to make the student experience better, continue to be blessed. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the honor and privilege of standing before you today.